Last year, I sat across from a couple in Katy, Texas. Beautiful home, Zone X designation, which means FEMA label it low flood risk. Their lender never required flood insurance. Smart people, responsible people, they did everything they were told to do. Then a slow moving flood dropped 12 inches of rain in 6 hours. Their entire first floor gone. Furniture, flooring, drywall, appliances, all of it. When they filed a claim with their homeowner's insurance, denied every single dollar. And the question is why? Because standard homeowner insurance never covers flooding, not one penny. They were sitting on a $78,000 in out-of-pocket repairs with zero coverage. That couple is not an outlier in Houston. Their story plays out every single storm season. And today I'm going to make sure it never happens to you, okay? Why this matters right now, that is the questions I want you to ask. Let me be very clear here. Houston is one of the most flood-prone cities in the entire United States. We're talking about a city that has experienced 3 so-called 500-year floods in less than a decade. Harvard alone dumped 60 inches of rain in some part of this metro and caused over 125 billion in damage. And right now, while you're watching this video, FEMA is actively remapping Harris County flood zones. Property that were Zone X last year may be Zone AE this year. Zone AE means flood insurance is no longer optional if you have a mortgage. This is not a scare tactic. This is the map, and the map doesn't care about your feelings. So here are the 5 things nobody tells you about flood insurance in Houston. And if you are buying, selling, or currently own a home here, every single one of these could save you or cost you tens of thousands of dollars. No flop, no hype. Let's get into it. The number one thing I want you to take note is the 30-day waiting period trap. This is a big trap to many people. The first thing nobody tells you about, and this one shocks people every single time, it's that flood insurance does not kick in the day you buy it. Standard NFIP policy that the government-backed National Flood Insurance Program have a 30-day waiting period. 30 days, which means if you buy a home, get your insurance binder, and 2 weeks later, a tropical storm rolls through Houston, you are not covered. Now, here's where it gets dangerous. For Houston buyers specifically, the average time from contract to closing in Harris County right now is 30 to 45 days. So let's say you buy your flood policy on day 1 of your contract. You close on day 30, you move in on day 32. On day 29, you're technically still in the waiting period. What does this mean for you? Never, and I mean never, wait until closing day to purchase flood insurance, okay? But if the day your contract is executed, buy it before the option period ends. The moment you have an accepted contract on a Houston home, that policy needs to be in motion. But here is the good news. Private flood insurance carriers don't always have this waiting period. Some of them offer 14-day or even same-day effective coverage. And that leads me directly into things number 4. But first, let's talk about what your current flood policy actually covers, because most people get this completely wrong. The NFIP does not cover what you think it covers. Most people assume flood insurance means flood insurance, that if water comes in your home, everything is covered. That is wrong. And this misunderstanding has cost Houston homeowners millions of dollars, okay? Here's what standard NFIP flood insurance actually covers. Building coverage up to $250,000. That is the structure, walls, floors, HVAC, electrical, plumbing. Contents coverage up to $100,000. Furniture, electronics, clothing. Here is what it does not cover, and I want you to understand. Additional living expenses. If you're flooded out for 4 months while repairs are happening, your hotel, your meals, your storage unit, NFIP wouldn't pay a single dollar of that. No one. It also doesn't cover your car. It doesn't cover landscaping. It doesn't cover finished basement improvements. And here is the one that gets people. It doesn't cover mold damage. If the adjuster determines you didn't act quickly enough to prevent it on a $350,000 home in Houston, full floor repair plus 4 months of temporary living can easily run $90,000 to $140,000. If you max out at NFIP limits, you are still underinsured. The answer: either supplement your NFIP with a private excess flooding policy or replace it entirely with private coverage, okay, which often allows higher limits and include loss of use. We'll cover that in this number 4. hit that like button right now. It helps me reach more Texans who need this information before they make an expensive mistake, okay? The number 3 thing I want you to understand here is the Zone X does not mean no flood risk in Houston. This is the one I need you to hear and pay attention closely. If you're on a home or are buying a home in Zone X designation, which means FEMA has labeled it low to moderate flood risk, you are not automatically safe from flooding in Houston. Here is the data. After Hurricane Harvey, more than 40% of all flood claims in Harris County came from properties outside a 100-year floodplain. 40%. Zone X homes that nobody told to get flood insurance. Why does this keep happening here over and over? 3 reasons. 1, our infrastructure. Harris County has 22 major bayous and over 2,500 miles of drainage channels, and the system is perpetually overwhelmed. Number 2 reason, our soil. Houston clay, heavy soil absorbs water slowly. Heavy rainfall just sits on it. 3, our terrain. Houston is flat. I'm talking coastal plain. There is nowhere for the water to go. And FEMA flood maps, they are updated every 5 to 10 years. Your Zone X destination might be based on data that is a decade old. Before the new subdivision upstream, before the road that altered drainage patterns, before they fill in the retention part. 2 blocks from your house, if you're buying in Houston, any neighborhood, any zone, ask for the flood loss history on that specific property. Go to FEMA's flood map service. Look at the first street foundation flood score. Do the homework, because the zone destination is a baseline. It is not a guarantee. Number 14, I want you to take note here is the private flood insurance can be cheaper and better. Here is something the insurance industry doesn't exactly advertise. Private flood insurance, meaning non-NFIP policies from carriers like Neptune, Wright, or Paloma, can offer higher coverage limits, fewer exclusions, and in many cases, lower premiums than the government program. Real example, a $450,000 home in a Zone A in Houston might cost you $2,400 to $33,000 per year through NFIP. The same home with a private carrier, depending on elevation and specific risk, might come in at $1,600 to $2,200 with a better coverage and a no 30-day waiting period. Now, private insurance isn't always cheaper. If your property has a history of claims, low elevation, or sits near a bayou, NFIP might actually be your best option, but you wouldn't know unless you shop both. My advice, always get quote from NFIP and at least 2 private carriers before you decide. Call an independent insurance agent, not a captive agent locked into one carrier. Independent agent can compare private carriers against the NFIP side by side, okay? And for anyone who recently received a notice of special flood hazard zone, that letter telling you are now in the mandatory purchase zone. This is especially important. Don't just treat it to NF because of your lender mentioning. You have options to go with. Number 5 things I want you to understand here is your flood zone can change and nobody will tell you. The last thing nobody tells you, and this is happening right now in Harris County, okay, is that FEMA remap flood zone actively. And when they do, you may receive very little warning. FEMA has been updating its flood insurance rate maps for Harris County for several years. These updates matter because they can move you from Zone X to no flood insurance required into Zone AE, where flood insurance becomes mandatory. If you have a federally backed mortgage, when that letter hits your mailbox, your letter has 45 days to require you to purchase coverage. And your premium is set based on your property's elevation relative to the new base flood elevation. If your home sits below that number, you could be looking at significantly higher premiums that you expected. How do you fight back? 2 ways. Number 1, an elevation certificate. If you believe your home sits above the base flood elevation, hire a licensed surveyor to document it. That certificate alone could cut your annual flood premium by hundreds of dollars. Number 2, a LOMA, L-O-M-E, a letter of map amendment. You can petition FEMA directly to remove your property from the high-risk designation if you have documented proof. It takes time, but it can save you thousands over the life of the mortgage. Here's the simplest action you can take today. Set a Google alert for FEMA Harris County flood map. Check it once a year. Stay ahead of the remapping before the lender does it for you, okay? Here is your takeaway from today's video. 5 actions you need to take now. Write this down, and so that you can always go back and what you want. Buy flood insurance the day your contract is executed, not a closing day. 2, review your current policy. Do you have content coverage and loss of use? If not, you are underinsured. 3, look at your property in FEMA's flood map and the First Street Foundation risk score, both of them. 4, get quote from NFIP or at least 2 private carriers before you decide. 5, if zone recently changed, request an elevation certificate before you accept your first premium quote. What you don't know in real estate and in real estate insurance can cost you a lot of money. The difference between being protected and being blindsided is one conversation from the right people at the right time. If you're buying, selling, or investing in Houston right now, I put together a complete homeowner's guide for the Houston market, including flood zone research steps, that question to ask your agent, or what question to ask your agent, and how to evaluate every property the right way. Comment the word guide below and I will send it to you directly. And if this video gave you something real, hit that like button right now. It helps me reach more Texans who need this before they make a $78,000 mistake. Again, I am Joseph, your Houston real estate advisor. Don't be that person who find out too late. And I will see you in the next video.